Welcome to the Fireside Storyteller today, where we bring classic tales to life through the timeless art of storytelling. Today's story comes from Norwegian Folklore, a tale that's been shared around fireplaces for generations. And before we begin, I have a special surprise for you at the end of our story, so be sure to stay with me until the very end. Now, close your eyes and imagine a lush green valley, a rushing stream, and a rickety wooden bridge, and 3 hungry billy goats who desperately want to cross it. But beware what lurks beneath the bridge. In a small valley, nestled between 2 mountains, where the grass grew in soft emerald patches and wildflowers dotted the hillsides, like colorful stars, there lived 3 billy goats. They were brothers, all with the same family name, Gruff. But though they shared the same name, they were as different as 3 brothers could be. The youngest billy goat, Gruff, had soft, downy fur, the color of fresh cream, and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. His small hoofs made the lightest sounds when he walked, and his voice was as gentle as a spring breeze. He spent his days exploring every corner of the valley, collecting interesting pebbles and chasing butterflies through the meadows of dandelions. The middle billy goat, Gruff, was sturdy and reliable, with a coat the color of toasted wheat and a calm demeanor that put everyone at ease. He was neither too big nor too small, neither too bold nor too timid. His voice had a pleasant, melodious quality that made the birds stop and listen when he called out to his brothers. He loved sitting by the stream, watching the water ripple over smooth stones while thinking up clever solutions to problems. The biggest billy goat, Gruff, was a magnificent sight to behold. His powerful shoulders were covered with thick, shaggy fur the color of storm clouds, and his curved horns gleamed like polished marble in the sunlight. When he walked, the ground seemed to tremble beneath his broad hoofs, and his voice rumbled like distant thunder. But despite his imposing appearance, he was gentle with his brothers, and he preferred to use his strength for helping rather than hurting. As summer turned to autumn, the 3 billy goats, Gruff, faced a serious problem. The sweet grass in their valley was nearly gone. But across that rushing stream, they could see the hillside absolutely covered in tall, delicious grass, still untouched by hungry mouths such as theirs. "Look at the wonderful grass," sighed the youngest billy goat, Gruff, his stomach growling plaintively. "If only he could reach it before winter comes, we could grow fat and we could grow strong to survive the cold months." "But there's only one way to cross," said the middle billy goat, Gruff. "That old wooden bridge. But I've heard troubling stories about what lives beneath it." The biggest billy goat, Gruff, pawed the ground thoughtfully, his wise eyes surveying the narrow bridge spanning across the rushing stream. "Yes, they say an ancient troll makes his home under those wooden planks. His temper is as ugly as his face, and he devours any creature foolish enough to try crossing." The 3 brothers huddled together, discussing their options as the autumn wind whistled through the valley. Finally, they devised a plan. They would cross one at a time, starting with the youngest, then the middle brother, and finally the eldest and the strongest. The next morning, as the sun peeked over the distant mountains, painting the sky soft pinks and golds, the youngest billy goat Gruff approached the bridge. His tiny heart hammered in his chest like a woodpecker against bark, but hunger gave him courage. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, went his little hoofs on the wooden planks, sounding like raindrops on a leaf. Suddenly, the bridge shook as a gnarled hand clutched its edge, and from below rose the most fearsome creature the little goat had ever seen. The troll had skin the texture of tree bark and the color of river mud. His bulging eyes were as round and gleaming as full moons, and his crooked nose stretched longer than a kingfisher's beak. Tangles of moss and riverweed clung to his matted hair, and his breath smelled like rotting fish and stagnant water. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" bellowed the troll, his voice sending ripples across the water's surface and startling a family of nearby sparrows into flight. The youngest billy goat trembled from the tips of his tiny horns to the ends of his dainty hoofs. His voice came out as barely more than a whisper, like the leaves rustling against each other. "It's only me, the smallest billy goat Gruff," he said, trying to stand tall despite his fear. His legs trembled as he spoke. "I'm on my way to the hillside to eat the sweet grass and make myself fat for the winter." The troll's enormous eyes narrowed as he licked his cracked lips. "Is that so? Well, then I'm coming to gobble you up." He began to haul his dripping, ponderous body onto the bridge, water cascading from the mossy shoulders. Quick-witted despite his terror, the smallest billy goat Gruff held up one trembling hoof. "Oh, please, Mr. Troll," he bleated, his voice quivering. "I'm hardly more than skin and bones, barely a mouthful for a mighty creature like yourself. Maybe my brother will be coming soon, the middle billy goat Gruff. He's much bigger and tastier than I am. Wouldn't you rather wait for him?" Still trembling, the troll paused, scratching his warty chin, long curved fingernails that resembled fishhooks. Little Goat could almost see the greedy thoughts turning to the creature's mind. He had to hold himself from smiling. Have you ever seen a goat smile? Well, they do. Just imagine a smile on that little goat's face. After what seemed like an eternity, the troll grumbled and he slid back into the shadows beneath the bridge. "Very well, you tiny morsel. Be off with you then, before I change my mind." With legs shaking like aspen leaves in the breeze, the youngest billy goat Gruff scampered across the bridge as quickly as his little hooves could carry him. Once safely on the other side, he began nibbling the delicious grass, but kept one eye on the bridge, waiting anxiously for his brother. Not long after, the middle billy goat Gruff approached the bridge. His steady hooves fell with purpose on the planks. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap, went the bridge, the sound firmer than before, like acorns falling onto a hollow log. Once again the bridge trembled as the troll hauled himself up, water streaming from his hunched form, eyes gleaming with hunger and irritation. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" he roared, even louder this time, his voice echoing off the surrounding hills. The middle billy goat Gruff stood firm, even though his heart was pounding like a woodpecker at work. His voice remained level and clear, like the bell ringing in the morning air. "It is I, the middle billy goat Gruff," he answered. "I'm going up to the hillside to eat the sweet grass and make myself fat before the snow falls." "Aha!" exclaimed the troll, slapping his wet thigh with the sound like a beaver's tail hitting water. You're the one I've been waiting for. I'm coming up to gobble you up right now. He began clambering onto the bridge, his weight making old wood creak dangerously. The middle billy goat Gruff, ever resourceful, quickly spoke up. "Oh, mighty troll, surely a creature of your stature deserves a more satisfying meal. I'm of modest size, but my older brother, the biggest billy goat Gruff, will be coming soon. He's enormous. He is much more worthy of your fearsome appetite. Why settle for me when you could feast on him?" The troll hesitated, his greedy mind weighing the options like a miser, counting his coins. At last he growled and sank back beneath the bridge, the water accepting him with quiet splashes. "Begone then, but tell your brother I am waiting." The middle billy goat Gruff trotted across the bridge, as much as dignity as he could muster, joining his younger brother on the hillside. Together they watched the bridge, waiting for their older brother with hopeful but anxious eyes. Finally, the biggest billy goat Gruff approached the bridge. His massive hooves struck the bridge with confidence. Trip, trap, trip, trap, trip, trap went the bridge, groaning and swaying under the substantial weight of this big billy goat. The sound was like thunder rolling across the valley, powerful and commanding. The troll, now thoroughly annoyed at having been twice denied a meal, erupted from beneath the bridge in a shower of water droplets that caught the sunlight like scattered diamonds. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" he bellowed, his voice shaking nearby leaves and small creatures scurrying for cover. The biggest billy goat Gruff stood tall, his magnificent horns gleaming in the sunlight. He was not terrified in the slightest. His powerful presence remained undimmed by the troll's ferocity. When he spoke, his voice rumbled deep and strong, like stones tumbling down the mountainside. "It is I, the biggest billy goat Gruff," he proclaimed, stamping a hoof that sent vibrations through the entire bridge. The troll's eyes widened with delight and hunger. "At last! The main course arrives. I'm coming up to gobble you up." He heaved himself fully onto the top of the bridge, water streaming from his massive form as he stood to his full height, nearly twice the size of the billy goat himself. But the biggest billy goat Gruff lowered his head, pointed his sharp curved horns directly at the troll. His eyes flashed with determination, and his voice dropped to a dangerous growl that seemed to come from every depths of the earth. "Oh, are you now? Well then, I've got 2 spears upon my head to pierce you through till you are dead. I've got 4 hooves as hard as stone to crush you down to skin and bone. So come ahead if you so choose, but know that you will surely lose." Before the troll could respond, the biggest billy goat Gruff charged forward with the force of an avalanche. His mighty horns caught the surprised troll squarely in the chest and lifted him clean off the bridge. The troll's scream of shock and outrage echoed through the valley as he sailed through the air in graceless arc, landing with a tremendous splash in the deepest part of the rushing stream. The current, strong from the autumn rains, immediately seized the thrashing troll, carrying him downstream over the rocks, over the waterfall. At last the billy goat's Gruff saw him, with his gnarled hand waving frantically above the water as he disappeared around the bend, carried far away from their bridge. The biggest billy goat Gruff trotted across to join his brother. Trip, 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 trip. The bridge finally silent beneath his hooves. The 3 brothers rejoiced in the victory and their newfound freedom. and set about enjoying the beautiful hillside grass and the thick reeds from the bank of the water. Billy goats love reeds. All through autumn they feasted, growing round and strong for the coming winter. Their coats grew thick and glossy, their eyes bright with health and happiness. And when the first snows came, they were more than ready to face the cold months ahead, their bellies full and their hearts content. As for the troll, some say he washed up on the distant shore and decided that living under bridges was actually a little too dangerous a lifestyle. Others say he still lurks in deep pools along the river, nursing his wounded pride and staying well away from billy goats of any size. But one thing's for certain. The bridge now stands peaceful and safe, and the 3 billy goats Gruff cross when they please, with never a trip-trap of worry. And that, my dear friends, is the tale of the 3 billy goats Gruff. It reminds us that sometimes we face obstacles that seem frightening, but with courage, cleverness, and the help of those who care about us, we can overcome them. The smallest among us may be braver than they appear. The middle child may be wiser than given credit for. And sometimes standing tall against what frightens us is the surest way to triumph. Oh, and I promised you a surprise, didn't I? Well, let me tell you, we have created a wonderful 3 Billy Goats Gruff t-shirt with special message that I think that you will love. You can find the link to our shirts in the description below. It's a perfect way to remember the courage of our 3 brave brothers. If you enjoyed our story today, please tap that like button and subscribe to the Fireside Storyteller. I'd love to hear your comments. What would you have said to the troll if you needed to cross the bridge? And what other classic folk tales would you like to hear by our virtual fire? Until next time, keep your hearts brave and your minds clever, just like the 3 billy goats Gruff.